Before there was Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, there were 19th century French gossip columns. And if you're going to talk your talk in a newspaper, you'd better be willing to back it up with your life. Welcome back to another edition of Literary Diss Tracks, where today we have two French dandies of the 19th century, Marcel Proust, author of In Search of Lost Time, and Jean Lorrain, author of Nightmares of an Ether Drinker. I won't bury the lead here. This one begins with an openly homosexual writer accusing a closeted writer of being, well, homosexual, which leads to a pistol duel. Also, I'd sure appreciate if you pre-ordered my new novel, Her New Eyes, using the link in my bio. It really helps. For context, it helps to sort of clarify this idea of a dandy, which is used today sometimes very loosely or even pejoratively. But in this era of the 19th century, especially England and France, the dandy was a very specific sort of individual. Because during this time, and largely thanks to growing industrialization, there was a burgeoning middle class sort of beneath the old aristocracy. And as that middle class grew, so too did a kind of middle class homogeneity. Think American suburbs in the 1950s, that kind of culture of conformity. So the dandy, even if they themselves were middle class, rejected this middle class egalitarian conformity by adopting very eccentric, very loud clothes, and even adopting certain social affectations, usually borrowed from the aristocracy itself, including their manner of speech and taste in lavish art. In other words, they claim this kind of ebullient individualism and celebrate art, and in doing so, they run in circles with other artistically minded dandies. But therein lies the tension. The dandies ran in similar circles, but they also claimed a sort of superior individualism and aristocratic condescension. So there was bound to be drama. And they loved the drama. That was pretty essential to the dandy lifestyle. Enter Jean Lorrain, a dandy who ran in the same circles sort of as Marcel Proust. Now, it's really difficult to say just how much Lorrain actually didn't like Proust for the exact reason I discussed. After all, the criticisms you're about to hear from Lorrain regarding Proust could either be read as genuine criticism of the author's work or else a dandy making a spectacle of another, and in so doing, elevating his own dandiness. Either way, in a review of Proust's first novel, Pleasures and Days, Lorrain lambasts Proust's, quote, elegiac spinelessness, tenderness, vain, inane flirtations, and pretentious in style. But things really heat up in 1897, when Lorrain, using a pseudonym atop his pseudonym, his real name is Paul Duval, writes what is essentially a modern-day gossip column in a French newspaper, discussing all things of the socialites. And in one, he accuses Proust of having a homosexual relationship with Lucien Daudet, which, according to biographers, is almost definitely true. But this was a scandalous accusation for a couple of reasons. One, Proust's homosexuality was not public, and Proust denied it vehemently. And two, Lucien Daudet was a son of the famous French author Alphonse Daudet, meaning that Lorrain was jeopardizing Proust's social standing, which is naturally of value to any dandy, but as well as his literary standing. So Proust skips right past go and challenges Lorrain to a duel to preserve his honor and reputation. Lorrain agrees. This duel must have been quite the sight. Proust was not exactly the picture of robust health and vigor. He was famously very asthmatic. But by most accounts of the duel, Proust was exceptionally poised in the days leading up to it, very eager to have it out with a kind of sense of calm about him. In a letter to a friend, for instance, he writes, quote, my only concern was that the duel did not take place before noon. Sleeping in the morning of a duel is like Michael Jordan levels of cocky, and I love it. The duel itself goes something like this. We have two immaculately dressed dandies standing at a length of 25 paces. They turn around. Proust fires a shot at Lorrain's feet, and Lorrain's shot goes wide. It's done. Honor's preserved. It gets written about in the papers, and Proust can feel good about that. Thank God Lorrain threw away his shot, because Proust would go on to write his masterpiece In Search of Lost Time, and Lorrain would continue to gossip in the newspapers. Sandoval has nothing on these guys. So, who do you got in this one? Jean Lorrain or Marcel Proust?